Ahead of the June 3rd deadline for the submission of the list of candidates for the 2023 general election, the APC and PDP have announced schedules for their presidential primaries. About 7 weeks to the deadline for the submission of the list of candidates for the next year's general election to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), the two major political parties are yet to decide on two niggling issues that may shape the presidential race. From which part of Nigeria will the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) and main opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) come from, and how would they be nominated? These are the elephants in the room, as the PDP concluded the sales of expression of interest and nomination forms, and the APC began its own. Section 29 of 1 of the Electoral Act states that political parties should hold a primary and submit the list of candidates no later than 180 days before the general election. INEC has fixed June 3rd as that deadline. In response, the PDP will conclude its primaries with the nomination of its presidential candidates at its national convention scheduled for May 28th and 29th, while the APC will hold its own convention from May 30th to June 1st. Neither of the parties have confirmed which of the three options allowed under the electoral law it will use in nominating its presidential candidates. Section 84 of 2 of the Electoral Act states that the procedure for the nomination of candidates by political parties for the various elective positions shall be by direct, indirect primaries, or consensus. Over a few weeks, 4 PDP Northern presidential aspirants went round the country urging party leaders to support the choice of the presidential candidate by consensus. After being largely rebuffed, they settled on choosing a consensus candidate for the North. On Friday, former Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zara, Ango Abdullahi, curiously announced in Minna, Niger State, that Northern elders had chosen Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed and former Senate President Bukola Saraki as the consensus candidates. One of the four, Sokoto Governor Aminu Tambuwa, promptly rejected the decision, saying the aspirant had earlier agreed to drop the campaign, having realized that it could not work. Even before the consensus campaign of the four ended in fiasco, aspirants appeared to have all accepted the inevitability of contest at the end of May in an indirect primary. In the APC, the issue is not that straightforward. There, the word consensus is a euphemism for the imposition of a candidate by President Muhammadu Buhari or those who can use his name to do so. The party had last month selected its national chairman, deploying the mode, after which it emerged that other candidates were coerced by some government officials and a security agency to step down for Abdullahi Adamu, a latecomer into the race. But on Wednesday, the president warned against imposition of candidates, reiterating remarks he made in an interview with Channels Television in January, where he said he has no interest in who succeeds him. Yet, at the meeting of the party's NEC, where Mr. Buhari gave the warning, the APC neglected to end the suspense on the mode it would choose for the presidential primary. Instead, the NEC delegated its powers, including the power to make that decision, to the National Working Committee of the party. The governor of Kebbi State, Abubakar Bangudu, who is the chairman of the Forum of APC Governors, later said party leaders were leaning towards indirect primaries, but were yet to decide. The other issue on which suspense remains is whether the presidential ticket of the two parties would be zoned to aspirants from any particular section of the country or not. There has been a clamor for the rotation of the presidency to the south, as the north would have held that position for 8 years at the end of President Muhammadu Buhari's second term in 2023. Prominent among those who have made the calls at the Southern Governors Forum, which members cut across three parties, regional associations like Afenifere of the Southwest, Ohanieze Indigbo of the Southeast, PANDEF of the South-South, and the Middle Belt Forum, and the Christian Association of Nigeria. The Southeast is particularly demanding the position because the Igbo are the remaining of Nigeria's three largest ethnic groups yet to produce the president. Indications in the APC suggest the party has conceded the presidential ticket to the South. All the aspirants that have declared, except Kogi State Governor Yaya Bello, are from the region, supporting a claim by Kaduna Governor Nasir El-Rufai in February that party leaders had agreed on an arrangement in which North and South will swap the national offices they currently hold. We have agreed on a zoning formula for all the 6 geopolitical zones, and essentially we swapped. Northern zones will take positions that southern zones had in the last 8 years, and vice versa. So very simple, equitable and fair formula, the governor said, although with specific reference to party offices. On its part, the PDP may have quietly thrown open its presidential primaries to aspirants from all parts of the country. The party had set up a 37-member committee headed by Benue Governor Samuel Ortom to recommend a position on the issue. But several weeks after the committee submitted its report to the NEC, the party had not said a word about it. This is probably because the issue has become a hot potato in the party. One of the party leaders fear could mar the party's chances in the presidential election if not carefully handled. After the Autumn Committee submitted its report, with the media initially reporting that it recommended open primaries, governors of the party from the southern states again met and insisted on zoning the presidency to their region. The party's leadership had not responded to their demand, and aspirants like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who was the party's candidate in the last election, and the consensus seeking for have refused to accept the zoning proposal. 17 aspirants from across the country eventually picked the PDP's presidential expression of interest and nomination forms before the sales closed on Saturday. As things stand, the main opposition party may present a northern candidate against the candidate of the APC from the south, thus reenacting the scenario in June 12, 1993 election that General Ibrahim Babangida whimsically annulled. A good point from that ill-fated election, though, was that Nigerians voted across regional and religious lines, with both Moshood Abiola and Bashi Tofa winning states outside their hemisphere. At the close of the sale of the expression of interest and nomination forms of the PDP on Thursday, 18 aspirants had picked the forms, including 17 men who paid 40 million naira each and a woman who paid only for the expression of interest fee. The aspirants who took the forms are Mr. Abubakar, former Senate President Bukola Saraki, Sokoto Governor Aminu Tambuwa, and a former President of the Senate, Pius Ayim Pius. They also include Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi, Nyesom Wike of Rivers, and Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom, former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi, and former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose. The others are United States-based medical doctor Nwachukwu Anakweze, a journalist Dele Momodu, a banker Mohammed Hayatuddin, a pharmacist Sam Ohabuwa, a former Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly Cosmos Ndukwe, Charles Ugu, and the only female aspirant in the race, Tarila Diane. In the APC, at least 10 aspirants have declared their intention to seek its presidential ticket. They include the Vice President Yemi Osibanjo, former Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu, Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi, Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi, Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi, and a former Governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha. Others are a businessman Gbenga Oluwapo Hashim and Ihechukwu Chima. Reports said Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi would declare after the Ramadan fast, while a former governor of Ogun State, Abinkule Amosun, is also planning to declare for the race. On Friday, former President Goodluck Jonathan seemed to confirm a stubborn rumor that he had been wooed to join the race for the APC ticket. A day earlier, he had received supporters in his home in Abuja urging him to run. The Punch, in a report on Friday, said his condition for accepting to run for the APC ticket is that President Buhari should assure him of his support.